Hey everybody, it's Tuesday night. It's not quite 9:30, but it's pretty close. And we're about to go behind the hedges. Tonight we're going to be talking South Carolina Gamecock football. But before we do that, we got to do this.
I wake up every minute with the fever dreams. I push my mind to a limit where it needs to be. I work blind, got vision I don't need to see. I'm picking mind over matter, I believe in me. I need to find more hours in the day to breathe. Need to find more power in the way I be.
Hey, welcome, folks. Hey, and welcome you. Who are you?
Hi, I'm Eric Douglas. I am a South Carolina alum, undergrad in law school, and I know Mitch from Quiz Bowl, and very happy to be here to give the most uninformed opinions on South Carolina sports that you will hear.
Don't worry, fear not, for I am with you. Yes, Eric. Good. It is great to have you.
It's great to be back. Good to see you.
Go ahead and explain to these people why your name is spelled like that. Thought that was pretty clever.
Of course. So my namesake on the South Carolina football team is Eric Douglas, the starting center this year for our vaunted offensive line, and it's always been a worry of mine whenever we recruited Mr. Douglas that people in the crowd would just start screaming like, Eric Douglas sucks.
right.
Worst player of all time.
Yeah, I will share the
South Carolina. No, he's been a pretty solid player, honestly, and I'm
good.
Cheers.
You better keep it that way. Yeah, so I'll share with these people that what I just shared with you too. Since you brought up Quiz Bowl, I used to coach the Quiz Bowl team at Bainbridge High School, and one of the last players I coached while I was down there was a kid named Bryce Williams. So shout out to Bryce. I hope you're watching this somewhere, buddy. And if not, maybe I'll just share it with you. But yeah, so there's the old. So everything comes back to Columbia, or as I sometimes call it on the other broadcast, bad Columbia.
Yes.
And then say, what are you trying to say? Is the one in Missouri good Columbia? No, this just Columbia. There's no such thing as good Columbia. So anyway, tonight we're going to be talking about a few things, but we're going to start with let's start with old business first. Makes sense. Hey, so you guys got a new coach last year. Shane Beamer came in, and I mean, I'll be honest with you that my expectations for the program weren't sky high or anything like that. In fact, I remember saying, and I can pull the receipts on this, I didn't believe that Vanderbilt, Tennessee, and South Carolina would be able to combine for 12 wins, right? And Tennessee had a pretty exciting season, and you guys had a really good season. In fact, I would go so far as to say that outside of obviously Arkansas, South Carolina and Tennessee were probably the biggest stock up teams in the SEC. You guys can always say, Shane Beamer can always say that in his first season he got a win against Auburn and a win against Florida, right? So that's a pretty nice little feather to put in your cap. So I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on Shane Beamer? Are you how do you feel about him?
Yeah, into it, I wasn't terribly excited about it. It's not that I didn't think he could do a good job. I just didn't really see exactly what the thought process was in hiring him. As a guy who'd never been an assistant coach or a coordinator, he'd always been a position coach, and so I was a little bit. I think everybody at Carolina was pretty skeptical, and I mean it was good to move on from Muschamp, but we definitely were. But again, who are you going to replace? Who's going to want to come to Carolina? It's a tough job,
sure.
And so and Beamer he does have history at Carolina from the Spurrier days and all that good stuff. So. But again, expectations weren't high last year. I don't know anybody who thought we were going to win more than 5 games last year. And 5 was, I think, pretty much any Gamecock fan who was, saying last year preseason would have said 5 is about as good as we're going to do. 6, the guy might be elected governor, and
right.
And so to win 7 games, it was a big deal, and and it was it's the air's been out of our program for really since about the 2014-2015 season. Muschamp had one pretty good season with an Outback Bowl win, and that's about it. And so we were, I don't know, pretty dejected fan base.
Wait, help me get right. Was that the Michigan game?
Yeah, they had a nice
The
comeback
helmet.
win against Michigan his second year.
Jadeveon Clowney.
It was not the helmet game. No, that was Spurrier.
Okay.
It was our Spurrier. The Jadeveon game was, I want to say, 2013, and that's that was our third 11-win season, and then things just went off the rails in 2014. Spurrier quit middle of 2015, and Muschamp. So I think it was 2017 was the Outback Bowl win against the second Outback Bowl win against Michigan. And it was, gave us
Michigan just doesn't want, they don't want any.
No, SEC. No, they've had enough of us. I imagine, but anyway, so yeah, I mean, people thought, maybe Muschamp's learned his lesson. Maybe, he's figured out what he did wrong at Florida and it didn't pan out. And so bring in Beamer, and yeah, I mean, he, and I mean, I think everybody likes his personality around here. And he's good on TV. He's good person to person from everything I've heard. And he came in and 7 wins was definitely not something I would ever predicted. And one weird thing, this is maybe the weirdest thing about that season, I don't know of any other, it can't be common. We had 4 wins last year with 4 different starting quarterbacks.
Right.
Is bizarre.
And it's also bizarre that, like, I challenged the random USC fan to name those quarterbacks.
I don't think I can.
I mean, you guys had the Zeb Nolan, like you had a grad assistant, a glorified equipment manager.
Yep.
It was like the Bobby Boucher. It was like the water boy. You guys had one of those situations last year.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, for him to come on and I mean,
Doty was Doty. He was like he was hurt at the beginning of the season, wasn't he? Luke Doty.
Yeah, he got hurt early,
and then you guys had to lean on Nolan a little bit, and then it's kind of what's going on, and then but the team just sort of found a way and wound up getting bowl eligible. So again, kudos to that. So I don't want to dip too much into the what to expect this year part of things, but I do want to ask old business, are you guys losing any pieces from that team that you thought were integral to the success of the team?
Yeah, a few. So I mean, on offense, Kevin Harris was a pretty solid
good back.
Yeah, and he didn't have a great year last year, but I think a lot of that really wasn't attributable to him. The biggest losses we have are on defense, and so we are losing Ngabari, who was a all SEC, and then we had what's his face? Oh gosh, how can I forget his name already? Here we are. Of course, Jalen Foster is a solid
defensive back, right?
Defensive back, and so that's the main thing, and our defense rushing defense was terrible last year for the most part, but those are the main two. Offense, we have, I mean, it's good news, bad news, and that everybody's coming back, and everybody's coming back. So,
right.
But I think, but those are the main losses that we have. And then tight end Muss, he was a pretty good, or Muse rather, Nick Muse was a pretty good tight end. But we have Stagner coming in from Oklahoma as a transfer, so that
we'll talk about him with the new business. But
so
let me clarify.
Coming back.
You say that Nick Muse is not coming back. So Muse is done.
Yeah, he's done. I think he's
that's a shame. I enjoyed watching him play. Okay. Well, why don't we get into it? Let's end this segment.
We've had some decent.
Yeah. Let's end this one, and then we'll get on to the new business and talk about some exciting stuff. All right. How does that sound to you? All right. Good. Stick around, people. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody, I'm Mitch, and this is Behind the Hedges, and tonight we're talking about South Carolina football for the upcoming 2022 season. But before we do that, let's do this.
I wake up every minute with the fever dreams. I push my mind to a limit where it needs to be. I work blind, got vision I don't need to see. I'm picking mind over matter, I believe in me. I need to find more hours in the day to breathe. Need to find more power in the way I be.
Welcome back. It's been a long time. So, I didn't want to get too bogged down and get bummed about losing Nick Muse and Kevin Harris and guys like that. Let's talk about exciting stuff, right? Because I think if you ask the average fan off the street, what is exciting about South Carolina football this year, ain't but one name, right? So what's you guys are getting the Rattler, huh?
Yeah, that was a nice early New Year's present.
Does he instantly become the highest rated quarterback you guys have ever had the first time he steps foot on the field? Is that how that works out? It's got to be, right?
Yeah. I mean, the closest I could think of was maybe Steve Tannehill back in the day.
Yeah, maybe like
I can't think of anybody.
Gosh. Who was that? How good was Garcia? Steven Garcia.
He was nowhere near where Rattler was rated. I mean, Garcia was. We were excited about him.
Pretty good, like a A minus. Yeah, well, so obviously the hype around Spencer Rattler is there, right? Did not have the most illustrious of seasons and at Oklahoma last year. And in fact, he got benched in favor of Caleb Williams, and the whole the Oklahoma thing spent with what's his name, Riley, going out to USC. Oklahoma's kind of in a mess right now. So Williams follows Riley out to USC, the other USC, and then at USC Junior, as they call it for some ungodly reason, is going to get the other Oklahoma quarterback. So
right.
That's so it's exciting, I guess. But do you have any? Look at this. Ethan says, but drunk Steven Garcia is an A+.
I love drunk Garcia. He's a legend around here, no doubt.
Yeah. So
last SEC East team before Georgia to beat Alabama was us. So Steven Garcia, but that of course has changed mercifully for the East.
Mercifully, yeah.
I mean, look, I'm an East. I mean, look, I'm not a Georgia fan, obviously, but it's kind of nice to see somebody beat Alabama. Besides,
it is, and I mean, it's like you don't ever vanquish Alabama. They just keep getting back up,
Right.
And so you just try to get in your shots while you can, because they're gonna be back, and I fully expect them to be back next year. Hopefully, we can hit them again. That'd be great. But we're gonna get fat and happy holding on to this natty right here, and loving it up, and hopefully we don't get our jaws broken. Next year.
Congrats on that. I mean,
well, thank you. I certainly have enjoyed it. It has helped me through some tough times. So back to it. All right. So you guys, Austin Stogner, I think Stogner.
Yeah.
From
Stagner, I think Stogner. Yeah.
Something from he is the tight end from
right.
Oklahoma, right?
Yep.
And he and Spencer Rattler come in, and now I'll tell you the tight end, the kid is Austin. He is he's all right. So he's going to be a weapon. You guys are going to have Josh Vann, back again, who I thought was just I am a Josh Van fan. Okay,
Yeah.
I thought the guy was like
me too.
He caught balls against us, and he looked really, really good. And the Tennessee guys don't believe it. They're like, "Oh, well, you don't look very good against us." I'm like, "Okay, fine," but the guy looked really good, and he was really funny. And they made a couple really. I know you saw the video probably that was put out. Things that Josh was it against Florida? Like, things that Josh Van could do before the defense got to him, and he was like,
that was one of the greatest things I've ever seen.
It's like reading a Charlotte Bronte book and solving a trig.
He graduated.
He graduated.
I mean, he did everything in the end zone before the Florida players could get to him.
Yeah, it was that was classic. I even showed that to people at work who don't even have an idea about what football is, and they thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was great.
So who's going to be running the ball for you guys?
Yeah, so we got Marshawn Lloyd as a pretty decent running back coming back, who I think is sort of this heir apparent to Kevin Harris.
Okay,
he's and I think he's going to be the star if we have one at running back. But we're pretty good on running back. I think we're getting a guy, what's his face, from Wake Forest, a transfer who got in my notes here. Sorry.
He came up in the portal.
Christian Beal. And he had really good stats from Wake, and he was a pretty, as far as running back transfers go, he was up there nationally. So between those two, I think we'll have a pretty good backfield. Offensive line's the issue with Eric Douglas starting at center.
Well, Wake Forest had a pretty good team this past year, past couple of years even. They've been prolific offensively. So anytime you get one of their guys, that seems to bolster your chances. I think that South Carolina is going to have weapons. And,
I do too. Skill players, and then receivers. Antoine Wells is a transfer coming in from James Madison, who was a pretty highly recruited transfer, which is interesting. He's kind of an example of what you're seeing with transfer portal of players that the one I still call it 1AA, sorry, but 1AA level and mid-major levels kind of promoting up to the Power 5. So
I
think that's kind of an expectation there. I'd love to see it. I hope it works out with them. But
I mean, I do too. I am just, dude, I'm chomping at the bit. I feel like I'm rushing through this a little bit, but I'm chomping at the bit to get to these expectations, man. I am so eager, and I think that Ethan is still tuned in, so I'm hoping that I'm hoping he's sticking around. So we're going to get to it if that's all right with you.
Yeah, sounds good.
Let's do it. Everybody, welcome back. This is Mitch, and you're watching Behind the Hedges. We're talking with Eric Douglas tonight about South Carolina Gamecocks. And before we get to him, let's do this first.
I wake up every minute with the fever dreams. I push my mind to a limit where it needs to be. I work blind, got vision I don't need to see. I'm picking mind over matter, I believe in me. I need to find more hours in the day to breathe. Need to find more power in the way I be.
There it is. He's there. He's watching. We have him on the hook. All right. I'm going to actually pull up South Carolina football 2022 schedule. There we go. And let's put this bad boy up on the screen here. There we go. This is the professional part of the show. Don't try to do this at home. What the heck? Okay, how are we looking?
Looks, I can see it fine.
You can see fine. All right, so here we go. This is the South Carolina schedule.
Yep.
And just before we started to do this thing tonight, I left a poll in our Field of Streams Facebook chat. I don't know if you got to see it or not.
I
The
did. I
poll.
voted.
Oh, did you? Okay. What did you vote, by the way? I haven't even looked at it.
I right now I'm going with 7, and that's regular
Nice.
season.
Nice. I love it. Okay. So right now we have 3 for 6, 2 for 5, 1 for 7. Those are the results as we see. So you see that everybody's floating around that
Right.
that bowl eligibility line or whatever. I'm going to go ahead and call Ethan out here, and he said 5. So actually, wait, he might have said 4.
You can easily see that.
What was it? So I want to go through these games here and just like get your opinion. I know the first 3 games we got Georgia State, Arkansas, and Georgia. Okay. Yeah. It looks like a very winnable game with Georgia State and 2 very losable games with Arkansas and Georgia, just off the cuff, right? Then you follow up with Charlotte and South Carolina State. So after 5 games, it's looking like you guys are probably going to be like 3-2. All right.
That's how I would predict that.
Kentucky stands to be pretty tough next year, so maybe 3-3, and then A&M comes in maybe 3-4. All right. But then you got Missouri and Vanderbilt back to back, and nothing's better about getting healthy than playing those 2 teams back to back. So I'm saying maybe 5-4 going into the final 3 games here. 5-4, you need to win one of these games: Florida, Tennessee, or Clemson.
Yep. And I mean, going back a little bit, I'm kind of, as a South Carolina fan, like you do not count on wins, and we have lost. We lost Appalachian State 2 years ago. We've lost to the Citadel within the last 6-7 years. So we darn near lost to Vanderbilt last season. So it was a strange team that we had last year, and we won 7 games. We could have very easily won 3 last year if things hadn't gone as quote well as they did. But I think really the game that I'm kind of interested in early on is Kentucky. Kentucky has become the quote what I call the new Georgia. We used to, with Georgia, it used to be, it's not like this anymore, but it used to be you could always count on that to be a close game. And we'd usually be able to sneak a win or 2 every 3 years, give or take, against Georgia.
Well, I remember we brought this up on our show after you guys beat us in was it 2019, right? I remember bringing it up on the show. Somebody was like, "How can you possibly lose to South Carolina?" Blah 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 blah. Like this whole talk. And I said, "Well, hold on just a second. Do you guys realize that in the past 10 meetings, the record's 5-5?
Yeah,
you know what I mean, with South Carolina. It's like, so it's not like this is a team that we just go in and manhandle every year. This is a team that actually puts up a fight. And
it used to be that way. I can't see us coming close in the next several years.
Well, I hope you're right about that.
Well, I mean, I just can't. I don't know. I mean, after last season and everything else, I think it's going to be a while before we're competing with UGA again, and I feel that way about the entire East right now. But Kentucky's a team that has kind of positioned themselves, I'd say, in a solid second or third position in the SEC East over the last several years. I don't think they're the most consistent team just about in the SEC East outside of UGA. But for whatever reason, we played them pretty close. We beat them 2 years ago. Could have, should have, maybe beaten them last year.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's a game where I think if we can go in there and make a game of it and pull something out there, that's where I'm hoping we can get our 7 wins from.
So you're counting on the Kentucky to be win 4, Missouri and Vanderbilt 5 and 6, and you're thinking about getting one more of those final 3 just to be
greedy. And
okay.
I don't see Clemson yet. I think we're after last season. I think Clemson's defense is still just too good for us to compete with. We're not going to be able to. I'd like to think that we could score some points on them, but they're kind of another level right now. After what they did to us in the final game this year, where I thought we had a chance going in, or at least I think a lot of us thought we had some chance going in against Clemson this year, and it just was not even remotely close. So that said, I think Florida and Tennessee are two games that are going to be it's just going to be very interesting to see how Florida and Tennessee are by that point in the season, and if how the new coaching staff at Florida turns out. See how Heupel's doing, in year
How do you
two.
feel about playing those two teams back to back?
I hate it. This reminds me of the early '90s. It's like they always called it the Orange Crush, Florida, Tennessee, Clemson at the end of the year, and nothing sucks like the Big Orange. I just hate having to play those three teams back to back to back. And I hate that that's back on our schedule. I just think there's a psychological thing, but somehow, of course, last year it didn't. We took care of business against Florida, or Florida took care of business against us as far as laying down and dying. But
I love it. Love it. So you were talking earlier off air about some things that were going on with the athletic department. You want to say more about that?
Yeah, sure. So, and this is basically the USC athletic department right now. And this is, I'm just speaking. I'm not speaking any personal opinion here. This is just the scuttlebutt around town and everywhere else is unhappiness with the athletic department. And Frank Martin was just fired as basketball coach.
Right. Everybody's basketball coach got fired this year. Right?
Yeah. And our fans, perhaps naively thought, we're going to bring a bucket full of money and get Sean Miller to come back and coach here. And apparently that was the plan, and it did not happen. And we kind of, looked a little bit sort of stunned. It seemed like a lot of people felt that the athletic department was kind of caught off guard by Miller not deciding to come to South Carolina. And then, we kind of got Lamont Paris, who most of the fans feel pretty good about. But, the process is just the word that you keep hearing around here is, the process of replacing the basketball coach was not what people were wanting. And the people felt that way about the Beamer hire too early on. I think most people now are, for now, happy with Beamer. We'll see how people are if we're 3-4 to start the season next year with, if we lose that, Kentucky game, and that's how message board fans are, obviously. But then baseball has tanked a lot over the years for us, which is a big deal at South Carolina. Baseball is a very big thing at this school. So,
but you guys do have that women's basketball team, though.
Absolutely, no, and that's been.
Let the record show the only SEC team still playing in anybody's brackets.
That's right.
Right. So,
so that said, there is some consternation regarding the athletic department. There's been a lot of this week. The news around town's been board of trustee members being reappointed here at South Carolina, and the thing that people keep asking about and it's a state legislature deal here, but the legislators are just what happened with football, what happened, what's going on with these buyouts and everything else. So so there's a lot of just clouds around the athletic department right now. I don't have any. I'm not going to give my personal opinion on what needs to happen or anything like that. But it's a very this football season is going to be very interesting for Ray Tanner. Our athletic director.
Do you mean to suggest that a successful season, I'll go ahead as far as say another successful season would go a long way to clearing up some of that miasma?
I think so. Yeah, because it's absolute. You're not. I don't really like that rooster myself.
This is our pal Robert Reynolds, who does the DGD podcast. He's actually a Georgia fan, but a North Carolina resident.
Oh boy!
And I just want to go ahead and put it out there while we're talking about brackets and stuff like that. The Tar Heels are still alive on the court, but they are not alive on the football field, friend.
No, we killed them.
You guys murdered them. Hey, I loved it, man. I loved it.
We ate them with a giant vat of Duke's mayonnaise.
Oh boy, oh, God, that's so disgusting.
Fried ram.
All right, I just keep waking up in cold in the middle of the night.
Yeah, I hate mayonnaise. I actually promised my buddies that I would eat a spoonful of Duke's mayonnaise if we won that game, and we did, and I ate a spoon of it and
paid off.
So it's
funny that in our Facebook chat, everybody gets a nickname eventually, and Mikey, my brother, who is a Clemson fan, for God's sakes,
one of them.
Hey, so Robert says, glad the Beamer got that bad. Yeah, no kidding. So Mikey's a Clemson fan, and so we used to call him Tater Man in the chat, right? Yep. And after they won their bowl game this past year, he is now officially the Cheez-It Bowl champion. So we're going to call you the Duke's Mayo guy or something.
I'll take that.
Until you earn something.
You got to start somewhere.
You got to start somewhere, right? There you go. So, hey man, I first of all, we managed to do this in a pretty good clip. I want to thank you for stopping by. I hope that you and your family and your loved ones and friends and all that are doing just fine. And you got anything you'd like to tell these fine folks at home?
Just look forward to watching SEC football. Spring game here is only 18 days away. It's going to be
no kidding.
The first spring game under the lights for South Carolina. So we're kind of excited.
Are you guys on TV? Is your game on TV?
Yeah, I believe it is. And we're excited about that. That's one thing Beamer does do is, I think one thing that people kind of underestimate is the ability to work the press, work the media. And in South Carolina was a 7-win team last year. There's no reason for South Carolina to be in national news whatsoever. But by getting dumped with Duke's mayonnaise and then getting Spencer Rattler to transfer to USC like the next day or two, we were dominating the media for about 2 days there.
The media frenzy.
So I mean, if he can, but he's very good at that. He's very good at getting noticed and getting South Carolina's name out there. So, and that's important for a head coach, perhaps more than some of the X's and O's.
Yeah, and it's great that you're going to get to see your spring game on TV. Ask the Tennessee folks about how their spring game is turning out. Last I heard, they were going to have it indoors at some athletic facility, and it's going to be broadcast on closed circuit TV to only the people in attendance outside in the parking lot or something. It was. I'm not kidding. I'm not making it up. Like, it's not on TV. It's just on like closed circuit TVs the ones that you roll out of the media center.
Well, if you're old like me, you might remember the NWA Jim Crockett Studios in Atlanta where they would do Georgia Championship Wrestling.
I remember very well.
Maybe they just.
In fact, how old are you, Eric? I might be older than you.
42.
I am older than you. You see this beard? It ain't gray for nothing, brother.
Got a little gray here.
Yeah, Dren is still beating the both of us.
Absolutely.
What did he talk about? All right. Anyway, so hey man, again, thank you for joining us. Thank you everybody out there in La La Land for watching with us, and we're gonna call it an evening. I look forward to seeing you all next Tuesday, 9:30 behind the hedges. Oh wait, Eric, who are we doing next?
All right. SEC East. I talked a little bit about Kentucky. I want to hear what Kentucky's got going on.
We have to go find a Kentucky fan with a computer.
Yeah, there's.
I have 1 week.
Thank you.
All right, buddy. Sounds good. Big Blue up next. Hey, buddy. Take care. See you later.
You too.